Hey guys, how's it going? Sentra SpecV here for another video, and today we are going to discuss the grounding kits in my engine bay. Those little straps all over. So we're going to discuss what they do, if they do anything, and if you should have one. And considering that I still have them on my car, I personally think they are very beneficial. So what is a grounding kit for, you might ask? Well, in order to understand what the grounding kit does, you gotta understand what grounding in an engine even does. So in any circuit, you have source, load, and ground. Now the ground side of a circuit, it's not like after, so I should rewind. So the voltage has to go from the battery, the source, to the load, which that's just a fuse. It's a circuit protection device. I put it there because I felt like it should go there. You go from the source to the load to the ground. Now the ground isn't always going to be shit. I'm going directly back to the negative battery cable because obviously I don't have every single load attached right to the negative cable. So the negative cable, as you can see, it is grounded to the chassis right there. The vehicle's chassis is the ground. So I remember being confused about that when I was younger. I want to see if I want to try to make you guys less confused. So the purpose of what these grounding straps do is, in any circuit, if you can take the ground side here, and now with the grounding kit, the purpose of it is to, let's say you want to make the ground side as easy for current to go through as possible. So let's say I take a ground strap and I put an extra one here. I have added another branch for the electricity to go through. So instead of being confined to this wire right here, it can now flow out of both of these wires back to the negative battery, back to the source side. And the purpose of it and what that does is it just makes it easier on the whole electrical system. Electricity is lazy. It will take the easiest path it possibly can. So by adding extra branches, you're just allowing the electricity to flow through the circuit better. I could add another branch here to go back to the ground. I could add another branch someone here to make it easier to get to the ground. I could do this. I could do this. As long as you're adding multiple more branches for it to go back to the ground side, well, multiple branches on the ground side for it to get back to the battery, then you're achieving something good right here. Now let me put some demonstrations with my own engine bay and what I've done with the ground, because I don't feel like I did the best job with explaining. Negative terminal to the strut tower. The strut tower here, that's part of the whole circuit. I have from my cylinder head to the ECM brace. And the ECM, I mean, that has voltage going through it, so I want to give it another path to ground just because my tuner said so, okay? From here, from on my motor mount to my radiator support, from the passenger side strut tower to this huge ass motor mount we have here, from my throttle body, that purple wire there, to the cylinder head here. Now what I wanted to more so get into is, how do I know where to put the grounding, and can I even show you if it even works? Well, that's what we're going to do right now. Some of you may know what I'm holding here, some of you don't. This is a digital multimeter. So we are going to turn this guy on. We are going to put it to 20 volts because you should have maximum 14 volts in the circuit. I'm just wanting to show you guys now, with the whole circuit off, that these straps do indeed do something. So as you guys probably know, to make sure that this thing is actually in good working condition, you take the leads, you put them together, it's at 0, that means the leads are fine to use. Now let's go test some grounding straps now, shall we? So let's say this red one right here. We're going to take this black lead here, we're going to put it to the negative battery terminal right over here. Now let's take this red lead and let's put it to this. Everything you watch, just scrap what I just did. I accidentally did it backwards. I'm still learning. So let's redo this, shall we? Let me zoom out because this is on iPhone. Okay, we're going to take your red lead and you're going to put it to the positive side. You're going to take your black lead and you're going to put it to the ground. Does it work? I have 12.6 volts. What do I have just over the battery? The black lead to the negative, the positive lead to the positive. 12.6 volts. Now what if I do to where the ground on the strut tower is? The multimeter says 12.6 volts. I want to see if I can put this in a way to where you can better see it. Now what about this ground guy? 12.6 volts. 12.6 volts. What about the ECM? 12.6 volts. So that tells me that the ground kit itself is actually doing something, and it's doing what I intended it to do. It's carrying load back to the ground side because the engine is grounded too. So there's a ground strap from the engine that goes to the chassis, that goes to the battery. There's a ground from the chassis to the battery, and obviously the battery is the best known good ground, the negative post here. So that is doing what I wanted it to do. Now, what about these guys over here? This guy goes to the positive post, like we said. 12.6. What about on the alternator? 12.6. 12.6. All right, last one, then we're going to turn the car on. 12.6. Okay, now let's see what the circuit looks like with the car on. Let's see what the circuit looks like with the car on. And you know, who doesn't love a nice cold start? Okay, I lied. That wasn't a cold start, but it sounds good. Now let's go back to here. Here, while I'm thinking about it, let's check the resistance on the wires as well, so you guys can see there isn't any excessively high resistance going on here. So turn this guy on. I have it at 200 because that's the lowest I could get on it. Like I said, anytime you use a multimeter, put your leads together, make sure it is not abnormal. About 0.2 resistance is pretty normal on leads. Black post to the negative battery, positive post to the positive battery. Nothing, that's good. Now let's put it to a ground strap. That says 0.5, that's pretty, oh, 0.4, that's actually better than normal. What about this one on the head? 0.4, that's good. That's good. Alternator. That's good. That's good. Now the last one, I'm gonna do the driver's side strut tower, since obviously that's the shortest one I have. And that's good. Well, point. Yep, that's good. Now, let's change this to where the whole circuit is live. The thing I should have added was when I was testing those wires originally, I know it didn't look like they were making that much of a difference, but engine heat can also put impedance on the electrical system and make it have higher resistance. So that's the other reason that it probably didn't look like it was very beneficial. Heat can create more resistance. Something I didn't mention was heat and corrosion can also create higher resistance. So if it looked like the grounding kit didn't make that much of a difference, that's because the engine was also very hot. So that's probably why it didn't look like it made that much of a difference. But corrosion, that's part of the good thing of the grounding kit, is because you're adding another branch to the grounding system. You're not using the probably corroded, dirty factory grounds. And so thus, it's supposed to allow the electricals to work better. All right, let's zero this out again. All right, so here we are, 20 volts max, because the most you ever want to see in a circuit while it's running is about 14.5. Anything over that, too much voltage can damage a circuit. So let's zero this out. That's good. Red lead here, black lead to a ground strap. 13.89. I should probably check the battery first. 13.88. So 0.4. That's good. That's good. What about the ECM case? That's good. That's good. That's better than it should be. That's good. That's good. Now let's check the ground strap on the driver's side strut tower. I specified that one so much because it's the shortest one, so it's the shortest path to distance to ground. You know, these damn wires will cooperate with me. And that's good. So maybe let's test one that isn't actually grounded with the ground wire. So 0.87. 13.9. So it looks like it doesn't make that big of a difference, but I can assure you that it does. Now, how do I know it makes such a big difference? Well, the way I know how anyways, the reason I know it makes as big of a difference as it does is my alternator took a shit, so I had to replace it. There is a voltage regulator within the alternator that keeps it from producing too high of a voltage, because as I just stated, too much voltage can be bad for a system. But when I would redline the car, I would get a red battery light popping up, meaning there's an issue with the voltage. So for shits and giggles, I slapped that grounding kit on that you see, and it completely went away. I never had that light show up again. So in my personal opinion, the fact that that grounding kit was able to completely mask a problem and make it to where I never had that problem again, or a problem with wiring, with power and grounding in general, to me that is a kit I would want to have on my car, so that way my electrical stuff can work better. And like I said, it did hide that problem. So I feel like I really could have explained this better, and I do apologize. But in my personal opinion, do I think a grounding kit is beneficial? Yes, absolutely, 100%. You can use this multimeter here to measure around your engine bay and find spots where you can put your own ground straps. I recommend testing the battery itself first so you know what the voltage is supposed to be like, and then testing all around the engine bay to find out spots on where you can put those ground straps at. Now, if you have a B16 SpecV, which I'm thinking is part of why you're watching this video, you can find a guy on the forums that makes these wires. You don't have to buy these, but you can. I have a combination of these wires that I bought from SpecV, and then I have these HKS wires. What the instructions for this red wire states is negative cable to driver's side brace, driver's side strut tower, and then I want you to go from the throttle body to the head, from the alternator bracket to the head, from the motor mount to the head, and then from the passenger side strut tower to the head, which is what I did. And it wants you to go from the engine to the transmission, and then from the transmission to the chassis. I'm trying to find a spot on the chassis to put the transmission ground. We already have a transmission ground down there from factory, and it actually looks to be of the same gauge as the red wire, so I didn't feel the need to put an extra one there, which is why I didn't. I added those HKS wires there. The ECM ground is not one that's specified. I did it just because honestly my tuner told me to. So yep, that's how you set all this up. If you have any more questions, put them in the comments. I'm sure I could have made this video better and more informative, and I apologize. But yep, totally recommend this kit. If you have any questions or any suggestions, please like and share. Well, please like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Peace.